Chapter 33 of The Rat Race by J. Franklin. Wednesday the 25th dawned bright and fair. My mind was fully made up and I was feeling fine. Germaine was still anxious about me at breakfast, but I soon convinced her that there was nothing serious involved. I laughed secretly as I said it. You know, I told her, I think I'll drive over to Hartford and have those people at the sanctuary look me over again. I think I need some kind of rest. The reaction, you know. My wife raised no objection. In fact, she seemed rather relieved, as though my aloof conduct of the previous night had been a shock to her self-confidence. I'll stop off at the kennels on my way over, I added, just to make sure that Ponto is all right. My plan was to remove the dog and drive to White Plains. Then, if there was any issue raised as to my need for a rest cure, it would appear that I had inexplicably ordered my favorite dog chloroformed. That would clinch it with Germaine, as nothing else would. She seemed rather subdued as she went upstairs and helped me pack my things in a suitcase. She did not offer to kiss me goodbye as I drove the Packard out of the garage and rolled around the gravel drive toward my road to freedom. First, of course, I stopped at Dr. Rutherford's office. It was early in the morning and he hadn't finished breakfast. The maid admitted me to the reception room, and while waiting for him, I made out a check for $15,000 to the order of Jeremiah Rutherford and marked across the back, "For professional services." "Here you are, Jerry," I informed him when he finally appeared. I would have got it to you sooner, except that my lawyer went off the deep end with a girl in Hartford. He should have had the papers ready on Monday, and here it is Wednesday. "Thanks," he said briefly. "Are you feeling okay?" he asked. "You look a bit shaky." I laughed. "Set it down to my liver," I told him. "I had a wet night last night, and I'm a little rocky this morning. As a matter of fact, I think I'll run over to the sanctuary and ask Folsom to put me up for a few days. My nerves are shot to hell." "Good idea," he murmured absently. "I'll go down to the bank and put this in for collection. My Army papers came through yesterday and I'm all set." I climbed into the car and tooled along the roads until, after inquiring at a couple of filling stations, I located Dalrymple's kennels. "I've come for Ponto," I told the vet. Dalrymple seemed rather embarrassed. "Are you sure you need him?" he asked. "He's just served Bugle Bell the Third. That's the prize-winning brindle bitch owned by one of the Fortune editors. And I was planning—" "You can cancel your plans," I told him. "And as for Bugle Bell's pups, I'll buy the litter. What were your other plans, anyhow?" Dalrymple was quite abashed. "Not exactly anything, Mr. Tompkins, sir," he said. "It was only that—" I nodded majestically. "Once is enough," I said. "And you can be thankful I don't report you to the Kennel Club for bootlegging thoroughbred puppies. Ponto comes with me now." "Yes, sir, Mr. Tompkins," the vet agreed humbly. Dalrymple was a broken man, but Ponto was not a broken dog. However, marriage coming so soon after distemper had curbed his spirit and he slouched into the Packard. As soon as I was out on the main road again, I stepped on the accelerator, heading the car southward in the general direction of White Plains. Ponto sat panting on the seat beside me, but in his weary eye I saw all the Westchester stockbrokers who had ever annoyed me. I also saw Winnie, and Winnie was to die. I admit that I was daydreaming a bit as I rounded the turn. In any case, I was driving fast and had not fully accustomed myself to handling the Packard. The other automobile backed violently out of the driveway on the right, the dope of a driver not looking to see if there was any traffic coming. I slapped my foot down on the brake, missed and hit the accelerator. The Packard gave a wild leap ahead. The other car, a battered old Chevrolet, completely blocked the road. I jammed on the handbrake and twisted the steering gear so that the Packard ran up the bank of an elderly apple tree. My head snapped forward. There was a blinding flash and then complete blackness. Seconds or centuries later, I opened my eyes. The old Chevy seemed to have pulled away and was now parked ahead of us along the right-hand side of the road. My windshield had not shattered and, so far as I could see, no major damage had been done to my car, though I hated to think of the fenders. I ached in every limb. My neck itched intolerably, so I scratched it with my left leg. I shook myself. "Well, I'll be damned!" I exclaimed, only to hear a deep growl that seemed to originate from within my hairy chest. I glanced over my shoulder. There, in the seat beside me, hunched forward over the steering wheel, sat a heavy-built man, a thin trickle of blood sliding down his cheek, his eyes closed and his lips open, while he snorted with concussion. Instinctively, I called for help. My reward was a series of loud, angry barks. Again my ear itched, and I scratched it again with my left leg. It seemed that I had become a dog. The man beside me stirred and moaned. Then he opened his eyes. "Ponto," he said dreamily. "Good dog." The driver of the other car walked back and was standing by the window. "You all right, mister?" he asked. "You was doing 50 easy. Lucky for you I see you coming." The man in the driver's seat gave a feeble smile. "My fault," he admitted. "I was daydreaming. Lucky this heap has good brakes. Are you all right? Any damage, I mean?" The other man laughed. "Sure," he said. "I'll go on now, just so you're all right. Want a doc?" "Uh-uh." The man on the seat beside me shook his head. "My name's Tompkins and I live in Bedford Hills. If there's any damage, it's my fault and I'll pay for it. Sure you're okay?" "Yep," agreed the owner of the Chevrolet. "You got a cut or something. Reckon you ought to see a doc." "I will," said the man beside me. "Don't worry, I'll be all right. Just bumped my head a bit." We waited until the Chevrolet had rattled itself around the turn of the road. Then the man cautiously tried the gears and disinfiltrated the Packard from the apple tree. He got out and inspected the car carefully for damage and then climbed back behind the steering wheel. I started to ask him a question. It was a whine. "Why, Ponto!" he exclaimed. "You old black devil! How are you, hound? Long time no see. Hot damn!" he exclaimed after a pause. "Have I been on a drunk? You know, Ponto, I dreamed that I was you, and if there's anything in dreams, I bet I'm the only Republican in Westchester County that ever married a brindle bitch named Buglebell. Let's see," he continued. "Where were we? Earlier today I went to the Pond Club and had a couple of drinks. How in hell do I find myself here? I must have drawn one hell of a blank, Ponto. The damnedest blank I've ever drawn in my life." His eyes looked down on the seat beside us where I had left a copy of the morning New York Times. "Hello!" he exclaimed. "That's funny. Here it is. Good Lord, the 25th of April. So I've been out for 3 weeks. That is a blank to end all blanks." He whistled tunelessly between his teeth. Then he cast a glance toward the back seat where my suitcase rested. "What gives?" he inquired. "I'm not leaving home, for God's sake. Ponto, old boy, you just stick by me and we'll go back to the house and see what this is all about." "Yes," I barked at him. "That's a good dog," he said affably. "That's a good Ponto." He backed the Packard into the driveway that had been my nemesis and turned the car around. As we approached the house, he slowed the car to a dead stop. "Ponto," he told me, "here's where you and I go to a committee of the whole. What's been going on around here? There's been one hell of a mix-up if you ask me. I had a dream—" The sooner I got his mind off this subject, the safer I would be. I laid my ears back and woofed. "Attaboy," he agreed. "Now let's take a look at this paper. What? Roosevelt's dead? Why doesn't anybody tell me these things? And Germany's about to flop? Whew, who would have dreamed it? You know, Hound, I feel like Rip Van Winkle coming back after 20 years' sleep." I tried to look ingratiating and let my tongue loll fetchingly out of the side of my mouth. "Say," he exclaimed harshly, "now it's beginning to come back. You took my place while I was— God, have you ever been introduced to a great big dog and told she's your wife? Well, damn it, you and Jimmy— Oh, hell, this is one god-awful mess. What's been happening around here anyhow? Am I going nuts?" I pricked up my ears and gave a false, loving whine. I licked his stinking hands. Okay, Winnie agreed. It's not your fault. But what the hell happened is beyond me. I hate to think of those prime asses, Phil and Graham, in this market. And what happened to Virginia? That's one gal you didn't know about, Ponto. She's for me, and how? And he took another look at the paper. Oh, the hell with it, he growled. If Jimmy doesn't like it, she knows what she can do about it. Let's go home, Ponto, and just tell her man to man where she gets off. I barked. He put his foot on the accelerator and whirled up the drive to come to a stop in front of Pook's Hill. Before he had switched off the engine, the front door opened and Germaine appeared. Heavens, she exclaimed. You're back early. Have you changed your mind again? Yep, Winnie said. I decided to come back home after all. She smiled. I'm glad, she told him. I couldn't make out why you were so keen to go back to Hartford so soon after you got out. You come on in, darling, and Myrtle and I will take care of you. Gracious, there's blood on your cheek. Did you hurt yourself? Her voice was warm and loving and made my hair rise slightly. If he tried any monkey business with her, I'd rip his throat out. I growled. Oh, good, she laughed. You got Ponto. Did he have a nice honeymoon, poor darling? Is Dalrymple satisfied? Would you like to put in for one of the pups? I growled again. She laughed. Oh, Winnie, he looks so shattered. What did happen to your head, darling? He grinned. We almost had an accident. I was headed towards the parkway when a car backed out. We bumped into an apple tree. No harm done, but I was knocked out for a few minutes, and I guess it must have shaken me up. She lifted her face to his and kissed him until I could feel thick, hot rage mount inside my throat and force itself out in a deep, rumbling growl. Look, she said, he's jealous. Poor Ponto. And she kneeled beside me, put her arm around my neck and pressed my head affectionately. There, she said briskly, you're a good dog. You're my Ponto and I'll take care of you. Tompkins glowered at me and her. Stop driveling over that damn dog, he said, and come on into the house. Germaine gave me a farewell pat on the head. He's such a good dog, she announced. And now that he's been properly married, he'll settle down, I hope. I've been quite worried over the way he's been acting, but it's all right now, Ponto, isn't it? Was your girlfriend nice, old boy? Huh? Are you happy? I tried to explain things, but all that came to my lips was a series of whines and growls. Come along, Jimmy, Tompkins insisted. I'm cold. Damn it all, I've had a shock and all you can think of doing is slobber over a dog? Let him have a run. So she got off her knees and followed him obediently into the house. I sat for a moment pondering my predicament. This was fate. 3 seconds would have made all the difference, but here I was, a dog. Conditions were reversed, and I might as well be philosophical about it. Winnie never dreamed that conditions were not as they had been before the 2nd of April, just as though Frank Jacklin had never existed. The chances were that he would continue to believe that it was all a dream, a hallucination. As for the FBI and von Bieberstein, putting things first, that was no longer any of my business. Dogs were not expected to develop patriotism. That luxury was reserved for human beings. All I could do now was to wait my chance. Perhaps the time would come when I could repossess Winnie Tompkins' body. Then, by George, I would not waste 1 minute, but would have him chloroformed at once. In the meantime, my cue was to be a good dog. There was a shrill whistle from the house. Ponto, Winnie's voice called. Come here, Ponto. That's a good dog. Come on, Ponto. That's a good dog. I ran, wagging my tail to the open door, and on all fours entered the house I had left only 2 hours before as its proud master. End of chapter 33.